Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum, so we'll move on. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the May 28th meeting. If you've had a chance to review those, can I have a motion to approve? I do have by Commissioner Bright. We have a second by Commissioner Bledsoe. Any comments? Seeing none, if you will, please vote.
Motion passes.
The motion is approved. No public hearings tonight. This is the time for public input on items on the agenda. If you've looked at the agenda, if you don't need one, we have one up, or if you haven't seen one, there's one up here at the front. But now's the time, if you want to talk about something we're going to be discussing on our agenda, now's the time to raise your hand and come forward. Seeing no one, we shall move on. First item is the site plan. Thomas, I think you can help us with that.
I do, Mr. Chairman. I would like to bring to your attention before we get to it, before we get too far into this, we did have one amendment to the agenda. If you can. We do have one amendment to the agenda. I thought that they had given you a note.
Okay,
if you could just announce that.
Right. Do we need to act on that?
I think you can just announce it since as simply as an amendment because it was at the request of the applicant. Okay.
Item under Section D, and actually it's D1, the re-subdivision of the Rosemary Crow property has been removed from the agenda for tonight.
Yes, sir.
That's the request of the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So we'll move on to item 6 here, the site plan. This is a site plan review for an expansion of an existing non-conforming commercial use. The property is zoned suburbanizing. It's a commercial, it's a mobile home park. The request is to expand this existing non-conforming use. It's off of Armona Road. The existing park was developed in the 70s, which obviously predates all of our zoning regulations. The proposed would net an additional 33 units in the park. 2 of the old ones will be removed and 35 new ones will be set for a total of 33 more than they are now, bringing it to a total of 176. The density would be compliant with the requirements of the suburbanizing zone. So as an expansion of non-conforming, you simply make sure that there's sufficient room to set it there. It does appear that there are. And I would point out there are a few outstanding things that we need to resolve before we hold a pre-construction meeting, which would be required before we issue any permits. So that staff would recommend that you approve it, subject to any and all applicable permitting. That's going to include the utilities and all that stuff. And for us to have a pre-construction meeting before we turn loose for any type of development. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Thomas. We have a motion to approve with the conditions by Commissioner Bright. Do we have a second? Do we have a second by Commissioner Franklin? Now, is there any questions or comments? Commissioner McClellan.
As the highway department looked at, this is basically a dead-end road here. Have they looked at the intersection there at Hunt Road and the railroad tracks and this road to see if it's...
I don't know that they have, but that's certainly something that if there's, any type of improvements on site that could be accomplished, then they certainly would include that in the, in the pre-con. One of the things I think I just wanted to mention briefly were the sewer connections and extensions with Alcoa, and I don't know if you notice on there, there's a gas pipeline too. So we're kind of on hold a little bit until we make sure that those things are resolved.
Commissioner Wells.
And one question, into the background of this, it just basically said the staff had been advised by the county attorney to review this particular park. Can you speak as to why the attorney advised such?
Yes, sir. I'm happy to do that. Expansion of mobile home parks doesn't happen very often. Normally, when we're doing an expansion of a commercial use, it's clearly this is a commercial use. Well, there's actually some interesting case law about mobile home parks that has found that they're considered commercial. So we have to review it under that section instead of as like a commercial development or something where it would kick in all of the new regulations that would go along with a mobile home park. In other words, they get to expand this under those abbreviated procedures. So that's why. It's kind of a hybrid. I mean, we know people live there, it's residential, but a mobile home park is treated in case law as commercial, so.
Anyone else? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, please do so. The motion passes. Let's see, that brings us down to preliminary plats, major subdivisions. You're taking that tonight, right, Thomas?
Yes, sir. We'll try to fill Doug's shoes. I don't know if I can, but if I just ask for your grace here. Mr. Chairman, this first item, B1, is a renewal of a preliminary plat. This is actually the second renewal. It was originally approved in 22. It was renewed in June of 24, and our renewals are for 2 years. So at the end of June of 26 coming up, this would expire again. So this is simply a request to renew this plat for an additional 24 months. And I will say that this is for the overall Phase 4. Development in Phase 4 has already begun. I mean, we've done a couple, I think one unit in Phase 4, and some of the, so part of this is already actually even finalized. So it's purely an administrative thing to expand, or to extend the preliminary plat for 24 more months.
Do I have a motion to approve with conditions? Have a motion by Commissioner Hodge, second. Second by Commissioner Wells. Any questions or discussions? Let's see. Commissioner McClellan.
In 2022, South Blount said that they were going to, they presented where they were going to put a 10 or 12-inch line up Best Road all the way to Blockhouse when this project started. And they keep adding more properties, but they haven't built the water line. You don't know the status of that, do you?
I do not.
And with all this acreage, you know, they claim it's a cluster home, but the only usable open space that I know of is where the pool area is, basically 5 acres, and everything else is drainage areas. And I don't see any additional open space on this other than detention areas, but I'm still opposed to this.
Commissioner Giles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to read verbatim off of this proposal. It says the preliminary plat for Manor in the Foothills Phase 4 was approved by the Planning Commission March 24th, 2022. Regular meetings for 24 months. The preliminary plat has expired. The developer is requesting preliminary plat approval for Manor in the Woods Phase 3 again at this time. Can you help clarify that for me?
Yes, sir.
Phase 4, the other one says Phase 3.
I'm going to say that is a copy and paste error. I did not write the staff report, but the line above that I think is the important part that's highlighted here. Manor in the Foothills Phase 4 was approved by the Planning Commission in June of '24
So it is,
for 24 months.
thank you for that clarification.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
No problem. The
Commissioner
other thing
Morris.
is, it says the preliminary plat has expired.
Yes, it has not. It is still valid until the end of this month, and this will extend it for another 24 months.
Okay, so it has not expired.
No, sir.
Thank you. I was looking for clarification. So essentially, if I read this correctly, Best Roads is going to have another 145 homes built into that subdivision and 300 more cars or so.
And a portion of that 149, as I mentioned before, this Phase 4 was approved. All of Phase 4 was approved as a preliminary plat.
Okay,
They are taking it down in sections within the phase, so sub-phases are what they call units. So one of those units has already been done.
okay.
So of that 149, a portion of them are actually, houses are being put in there now.
Thank you for the clarification. That's what I was going to ask. Does
Yes.
this mean there's 149 more homes going in there? And the answer is no, based on what you
It is,
how you're-
that 149 is a part of the original 500 whatever that was approved way back.
Okay,
So
Okay.
it's not above that. It's consistent with that original number that was set
thank you.
8 years ago.
And, Mr. Lott, I'm not sure you're even the one that should answer this, but that is very close to where I live, so obviously I have a vested interest. I do not live on Best Road, but I travel Best Road quite a bit. Are we looking at improvements, or can you share with us whether or not the Highway Department is looking at any future enhancements or widening of that road based on more homes coming in, more cars being on that road and so forth? Okay.
I can speak in very, very general terms based on what I've heard in front of this body over the years, but
great.
this goes back more than 8 years now, I think, maybe 9 years. And there was, agreements with the Highway Department and Maryville and developers, so it has been an ongoing process. But as far as up to the minute, what's happening, I cannot answer that, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your assistance.
Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, sir. Just also on the sheet there, under the analysis, the design and plat description, I'll read verbatim. It says, "The parcel is currently vacant and is gently sloping. The bulk of the drainage will be directed toward the drainage facilities that have been previously constructed within the drainage basin, lots, overflow pond, and a new drainage located at the 267, 280, 304, and 319. My question is, there's a lot of people out there complaining now already because of the drainage it's not being taken care of. Is this going to make this a whole lot worse, or is there something going to be done, or do you know what's the answer to that?
So this description accompanied the original approval of the plat back in, I guess, 4 years ago now.
Okay.
So part of this has been remediated since then and constructed, but it's,
Okay. So it's not going to get any better, is that what?
yeah, I don't know that it'll get better, but I don't know how much of this has been constructed now from what was then. Those are the things we typically look for in the final plating phase.
It said it had been previously constructed, so anyway, that's,
Yeah, I think in the first 1 or 2 phases, they did the large drainage area with the anticipation of it taking water from the other places.
thank you.
Commissioner Hannah.
Are you able to, or is the Highway Department able to provide us with any of those agreements? Or is there-
No one from the Highway Department here tonight, but I'm sure if you reached out to their office, they'd be able to get that to you.
It may be good to be able, what's the ramifications if this does expire? Let me ask that first.
I'm not an attorney. I can't give any legal advice, and I apologize for that. I think there are even above and beyond what our subdivision regulations say, they still have vested rights under state law. So,
Which I do understand that, it's just really hard to bring things to this body without us having information in front of us and some of these questions answered. And I know you're doing the best you can, but not even knowing what's been completed and what hasn't, it's really hard for us to say, okay, yes, we'll approve this, when we know that there's a lot of issues and there's a lot of congestion on that side of town as well, and it sounds like there's infrastructure that needs to be in place, so I'm just concerned.
Sure, but the infrastructure on site would be completed prior to any final plat that would come before this body. I would just again say that this body has approved this same preliminary plat twice previously. So.
Yep, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Wells.
in line with what Commissioner Hanna was saying, I was asking kind of the same question about, from what Mr. McClellan had said about the infrastructure. You know, we'd often have the agreements from the cities that say that they would serve these particular developments and such, and that would come before us, and we would have that commitment in front of us at that time. And we don't really have that in this particular case, and I understand the vested rights piece from a legality point of view, state law, but I think we definitely would want to know what those commitments are before we make some formal decision as to what the implications of this are, feels like to me. I mean, it's enough, and we got enough pushback from the area and the community just to make sure that, hey, we want somebody to make a commitment as to what is going to be done from the infrastructure, from the drainage, and feel like we need to know that. So I would make a motion that we postpone this till next month.
Is there a way that you can do a 1-month extension so it doesn't expire, so we're not in trouble, and then they can get the information to us and then we can make a decision?
Expiration's on your table, but I mean, I don't know if it's already in the expiration status, if that matters, but.
You know, I don't know if this matters, if this affects your decision-making at all, but our understanding is they will be coming forward sometime this summer, maybe even next month, with the next phase and final plat, because they are putting in infrastructure as we speak for the next unit within this phase. They're
But I would
currently
be
under
fine if we
construction.
postpone this to next month, keeping this somewhat active in its current status until next month. I mean, it's not really our issue that it came to us the same month that it expired. That's not really our issue. So it could have came last month.
So the motion is yes, sir. I believe you're involved in this project. Yes, please.
Just to clarify, we need to postpone the I'm sorry, Josh Sanderson. I'm with Tennessee Valley Land and Smithville Homes. Just to clarify, if we need to postpone it, which is fine, what answers would this body want? I guess I heard infrastructure. We install all our internal infrastructure to the exact county specs. I don't know of anything along Best Road, and I can't speak for this highway superintendent. And then also the drainage. I have not heard of any internal drainage as we install it, mow it, maintain it. I'm asking for a specific, what I need to come back with next month to get this approved.
It's a fair question.
Commissioner Wells?
Yeah, on the postponement piece, I think we were looking for some commitments that should have been made from the cities in servicing the area, and it wouldn't specifically be asking the developer to provide that, but asking our own services to provide that to us, because they've made a commitment, most likely, to service that area to that point, saying if they did make a commitment of certain water lines and certain things that are going to supposed to service those places, we want to make sure that that infrastructure is held up to that agreement.
Okay.
Is that piece. So that's really not on you. The drainage part possibly might need to be looked at based upon the feedback you heard already, but that's something that Mr. Myers might have more input on you individually.
Yeah, I'd invite Mr. Hedrick or Mr. Hatcher out anytime to address any drainage, internal drainage we have. And then also ask if we do postpone it and we do have a final plat, would this body object to having discussion on this preliminary plat renewal along with a final plat, just so we can keep it going as long as we put both items on the agenda?
I think so. I mean,
I would think we get it on the agenda.
Okay.
I would think so. Commissioner Hannah again.
I was just going to kind of make a statement in regards to what Commissioner Wells says. Although it's not on you, if you want to talk to the city and
Yeah.
help along,
Yeah.
have someone
No,
here or help along, or have them email us what that said agreement is. I mean, it's great to have it in writing, but that would be helpful. I mean, if you want to
We are
reach out
part
to
of the
them.
part of the solution, not the problem.
Commissioner Hodge.
I hear everybody's concerns, but are we willing to take that position with anybody that's doing any type of development in that area? Whether it's 1 lot, 2 lots, 4 lots? If you're taking that position, you have to take that position for everybody. And I think that's very important that we think about. This is a renewal of a plat. This is a renewal of a plat that was already approved. This is not a new application. And if you're getting into the water and the drainage and whatnot that the cities and the counties have responsibility for, that shouldn't impact the decision of this application. And like I said, that applies to every development, not just this one. And if that's the position that we choose to take, then we need to reevaluate everything. And I think that's what we're doing by taking this position. Did I kind of make sense on that?
I totally understand your point of view on that, and I
Yeah.
don't want to punish anybody in the process. I just heard loud and clear that there was a commitment maybe made, and unlike some of these other proposals that we get, there's not always a city commitment to say we're going to supply certain things to that project, but by the size and nature of this, they would often do so. And we're curious, was that done? Was that provided? Was there a statement? Bruce alluded to what he thought to be that a commitment to provide a water line of certain size that hadn't been done. And so I think it's worth us knowing that for sure. And if it's not going to harm the developer for us to allow them to bring both proposals at the same time next month, then I don't want to harm them either. I don't want to do that either. But I do think we should push into it to say it would be good to know that information, and we can make individual calls to find that out too, and not harm anybody in the process. But it's not intended to do that. But I understand your point.
Commissioner Mars.
Thank you again, Commissioner. My deal was it's nothing against you, it's against the people that's going to be coming into that place. Their drainage needs to be successful, whether it's the county or whomever's responsible for that. And the people that already live there, they have to have whatever that they may need. And so that's where I was coming from with it.
Just a response to that, if postponing will not harm us, if it's this body's wish to postpone it and we have an open conversation, we're open for it. We respect the leadership and your all's opinion, and appreciate you all even letting us do this development, and a postponement will not hurt us. We can have more conversation and come back next month.
Their development is not the only one contributing to the concerns that we're talking about here. That's what I'm trying to get to, right? There's other developments around there that are technically contributing to what we're discussing, and you're holding them accountable, but not everybody else.
I mean,
Commissioner
I think the developer just said that it's not going to harm them to hold this over for 30 days. I mean, I'm not, I think that's true. I mean,
Yeah, will not harm us. If we can identify maybe with an email or whatever through Mr. Lloyd.
Yeah.
I heard a water line. I don't know if there's a road improvement in place. To Commissioner Hodges' point, there is a large development on the same road as Best Road, which is, I believe, they're completing too. If we can just identify what we need to come back in front of this body.
but here's a modification of what I said. I'm going to, somebody else can postpone it if they want to. I'll take back the postponement, because here's why. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I don't want to hold this particular project accountable to that. I understand that. But I do want to know that information, for sure. And we should collectively look at this area and see if there were commitments made, and then we need to make sure that those are followed through with, regardless. If those commitments were made by the cities to service those areas, those should be adhered to, right? And those things should be done, so that, again, shouldn't be held over your project. That's right. So I'll remove my movement to postpone based
So
upon.
along the same lines, do we go ahead and notify the other development currently to stop what they're doing until this water line issue is addressed? I think that we're singling out more than just one person here, so let's apply it to everybody.
I'm not,
I mean, that's technically what we're doing, what you're asking to do.
I just said I'd just remove the proposal to postpone.
Yeah, I think personally that they're being cooperative because they're doing business here, and they don't want to take a position to, hey, this is not fair.
No, I'm hearing you.
But
So I'm
what
taking
about
it off the,
everybody else's? What about everybody else?
I'm taking it off the table, but I'm certainly going to make a phone call to figure out, do we have a commitment from them to service that whole area? I mean, whether it's the City of Maryville water line or whomever it may be, we should find that out.
Let's see, Commissioner Bledsoe.
Yes, thank you. Thomas, did you say that you were not aware of the agreement made?
I'm not aware of any
Okay.
specifics. I wasn't a party to them, and may have even been before I started here.
I got you.
I'm not 100% sure.
So how was it again, refresh my memory, how is it again that we know that the agreement was made, or supposedly one made? How was that known?
I think Commissioner McClellan mentioned a
They presented
upsized water line from South Blount, I believe.
I see, okay.
I think a point needs to be made. If South Blount is the one that made the commitment, I don't know how you can expect these folks to, do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we move forward with this, and then, I say we move forward and approve this, and then we as a commission follow up with the highway department and kind of hold their hand and say, hey, we need some information on this to make sure, we got people developing down this road, there's major concerns, and, we don't want to hold people up who's already, plans that have been approved. So I just think we need to contact them and make sure that there's a follow-through with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Giles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This can be answered later, but I want to pose this question now. It has nothing to do with this particular development, but it has to do with some verbiage on this request. Talks about Best Road is 18 feet wide according to the county road list, and improvements were specified previously by the City of Maryville. Well, on page 1 of this, it talks about the City of Maryville is no longer involved with this, if I understand this correctly. Since the time the city has dissolved its regional planning authority in the county, and the continuation of the platting process is returned to the county. What does that mean?
I hope I can answer that.
Okay, thank you.
When this project was originally, right out of the gate, when it was proposed, it was under the authority of the Maryville Planning Commission.
Regional, right.
The design, including, the best example I can give you is the roundabout. There's a roundabout in this. The county doesn't do roundabouts. But the county inherited a roundabout because it was part of the original design and construction. So it started under one rule book, if you want to look at it that way. And you can't throw out the rule book and impose a second rule book once somebody's already underway. If that makes sense.
It does.
So that's kind of the genesis of that, and that's where we are today.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation.
Maybe sure I'm clear. You withdrew your motion to, okay, so we're on the original motion. Any more questions or comments on the original motion? Seeing none, if you're ready, let's please vote. Motion passes. Okay, moving along. Over on final plats, major subdivisions, there's none. Preliminary plats, preliminary and final plats on major subdivisions. There was item there, but that's one we talked about earlier that was withdrawn. Item E. Thomas, I think you can help us with that also.
Yes, sir. Let me get myself squared away here. Yes, D1 withdrawn. E1, this is the Patton property subdivision, lots 1 through 4 off of Lanier Road, of Terry Patton and Nancy Hedrick. I think I'll just skip forward to this one's pretty straightforward. I think I'll just skip forward to the outstanding items to be completed. It looks like there was an issue with the title on the plat. All the signature plats, we'd need those, including Environmental Health Department. Environmental Health Department review fee and platting fee. Looks like staff recommended approval on this. And I can answer any questions that I can answer. I think the applicant is also here, maybe if there's anything else. But that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with conditions. We do have a motion by Commissioner Wells. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Bright. Now, any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready, please vote. Motion passes. Under miscellaneous items, it says we have none, but let me,
There's one more, item 2, the preferred homes.
okay. This is Thomas also, thank you.
Yes, sir. Don't worry, Darrell, I'm just as confused as you are. Okay, item E2, preferred homes property lots 1 through 3 off Pleasant Hill Road. This is also a really straightforward one, so I'm going to read the outstanding items to be completed here. Any stumps, fallen trees, and piled up dirt needs to be removed from the site for any plat approval. The existing driveway and tile on Lot 3 shall be removed by the owner and inspected prior to releasing the final plat. Revised final plat, including driveway access, locations, and notes. Signature plats to include the Environmental Health Department, electric utility, and water utility signatures. Environmental Health Department review fee and platting fee. I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the conditions? Have a motion by Commissioner Mars, a second by Commissioner Franklin. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready, please vote. Motion passes. Now we get down to miscellaneous items. I just want to comment on one thing. It's not on the agenda, but just comment. And that has to do with the resolution that the commission passed last Thursday pertaining to data centers. Let me assure everyone that's watching or here that once we get any information whatsoever on that, any legal documents that needs to be passed, the planning commission will act on it immediately. There will be no delay on taking action on it. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
Is the zoning the ultimate issue with if and when it's ever on the table?
Would you use your microphone? I can't hear you. Tom.
Is zoning the ultimate mechanism to handle that, I guess is the best way to say it?
Well, that was the intent of the resolution, was for zoning to do that. And I had a question for Thomas. Has he received that resolution, and have they done any work on it yet?
Did you get your question answered?
Yes, I'm just trying to think, when we get to that point, if zoning is what the ultimate answer is, then we need to be aware of what zone it needs to be and whatnot, right?
That was addressed in the resolution. It would be only permissible in the industrial zone, along with some other regulations. I was just curious if Thomas had begun to work on that yet.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Bright. It hasn't been transmitted formally to me, but I did pull it down and started looking at it, and I have been in discussions with the legal department on it. The legal department's going to work on a draft with staff's input. The county commission has provided a roadmap of what they want to see. We've got to test all this and make sure it works. And that it's viable. So the chairman and I talked about this. We're going to try to get, if not for the public hearing, at least have it on for discussion next month in some form or fashion. Oh, and I think the other question was, is zoning the right way to do it? I've been following this across the state, trying to figure out how different places are doing it. And I had a really kind of an interesting conversation with Mr. Stewart with the county attorney's office, and I hadn't really thought of it this way, but basically he says that if you're coming up with regulations that look like a duck and quack like a duck, then you need to treat it like a duck. And so if you're doing all these things that are zoning or very closely zoning adjacent, then you probably just need to handle it as an amendment to your zoning regulations and call it a day. And I think that's kind of where Chairman Anderson was going, and I think that's kind of why we've gotten to where we are, and that's how we're going to proceed forward. So.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Thomas, the resolution that we passed has to do with Blount County properties only. We have no jurisdiction over cities of Alcoa or Maryville. They'll pass their own rules and regulations and resolutions around this issue, correct?
That is correct, sir. We have authority only in the unincorporated county.
Thank you.
I did not want to dwell on this, but I wanted to at least get on the record that we were aware of it and are beginning to take steps to work on it. Okay? Any other planning or reports, Thomas?
No, sir.
Okay. Now it's time for public input on items that are not on the agenda. If you're here tonight to talk about something we haven't discussed, now's the time to raise your hand and come forward. See none. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. The motion passes.